welcome back for another episode of Love It or Shove It. And today it's May 1st, 2024. New energies, new moon is coming, right? And I'm here today with you, Irina Portnova, with my co-host, Bruno Gill, and we have our dear Dina Alexander with us. And let's just start. Dina, tell us a little bit about the energies and about the new moon.
Yes, I was like I was telling you earlier. I was preparing for the new moon because I do have a group of women that we are together, women and men. We come together, new moons and full moons, to work on the energy. Okay, to work on what our goals are and what others' goals are. Okay, so what it said now, the new moon phase is a more introspective time and represents new beginnings. As we plant seeds for the future, it is a good time to set clear intentions for the month ahead. Clarify your goals, start new projects, and acknowledge your growth since the previous new moon. It's beautiful. Now is the time.
Love it. And so received it. Woohoo! Now is the time.
Now it's
And
time.
today we are going to be talking about infatuation versus love. Bruno, when we say infatuations versus love, what comes to you?
Can you hear me properly?
Yes.
Nice, very cool. So, infatuation versus love. So, obviously, first we should define what infatuation means for anybody who doesn't know what it is. It's basically a very passionate love only on the short term, and then it just vanishes. It's like it never existed, right? And so, love is love, but sometimes a short-term passion is not passion. Passion is like passion is the alibi for it. The passion here for me is like the alibi for a short-term desperation, short-term need, right? Sometimes people may feel like very passionate about a certain thing, but it's because it just makes them forget about whatever they have during the day or during the night, or anything that can relieve them from something that truly makes them feel stuck in their life, right? We are a race, human beings, a race that thrives in curiosity, things that are curious, right? Things that sound exciting, right? And for example, women love exciting things, right? I believe so. Which is great, right? Which is awesome because life is supposed to be exciting, right? And laughing and stuff because there's already so much pressure in life, right? And so we need to laugh and we need exciting things and we need to do fun things and stuff. And sometimes they're always like sometimes infatuation also means like it's not only short term but it's also easy, right? And life sometimes is so hard for people. They're like, I'm tired, everything is so hard, I want something easy. And then they look for something easy, but it's not so gratifying, right? Because they got it so easy, they're like, oh, I don't want this anymore because this is too easy now. So whatever, screw this. I thought this was like going to be more of a challenge. So the passion is very intense during the process, but in the end, when the challenge is over, they look for the next big thing, right? And so that's for me the difference between that's infatuation for me, right? But when it comes to is love is love, right? Love stays, love nurtures, love grows, love sees the other nurture and sees the other grow and sees the other staying, and love reassures, right? And yeah, and I feel like that's really beautiful, and I feel like
That's beautiful. Can I just, I forgot to introduce the fourth member for today's show, the fourth guest. And I just noticed, I'm sorry, Missy. Yes, can you introduce, Dina, can you introduce your beautiful doggy to us?
This is Kiwi. I gave her a hair piece for her to entertain herself. But
How cute.
it's my long hair Chihuahua teacup size. I just trimmed her hair, but usually she has a lot of hair and it's all stand up.
Mm.
But she's my world. She's my love.
And yes, and look at her. She just wants to be present with us because she always wants to participate in this, passion discussion of infatuation versus love.
Yes, was that's her goal.
Yes, yes, but yeah, look at her. She's just peaceful. She just, like loves that presence, and we enjoy her company for sure. So, Dina, when it comes to infatuation versus love, actually, it was your idea to bring up that topic. Why is this so, like very near and dear to you?
You know me. You know me. I like things very simple, so that a child can understand. So I'm going
Mhm.
to share my beliefs. It's personal belief. The difference between infatuation and love. Infatuation is science has said. So science says that our bodies releases some chemicals. Okay, and when you are with an opposite sex and you are lacking of those chemicals, the opposite sex will eventually help you out to release them. And if you take it further, it will become a lust, a sexual and intimate exchange. Okay, so and it's science says also that that same chemical can be released if you eat a chocolate, a dark chocolate. So you need to know yourself, who you are, what you want in life. Because if you are sleeping with a lot of, or are intimate with a lot of people, and you don't know the reason why, and you get yourself in problem, then you need to know that you are just entertaining chemicals that are releasing in your body. It's as simple as that. So love, in the other hand, is a connection. If you know yourself and you're connected with your heart, there comes a time that there comes a person either from the opposite sex or from the same sex that triggers that feeling, and you cannot describe it. If you cannot describe the feeling, that connection, that is the connection. So and it's not necessarily sexually, not necessarily. You can take it there, but it is a mission between you two guys, of the two connection, the two energies, that you need to do something in this world. So that's how I explain the difference between infatuation and love.
Oh, beautiful. Well, yes. For me, it's more like, like when I think about the word infatuation, it's like comes to me physical attraction, because it's just like it's that, like intense feeling, like spontaneous feeling that you get at somebody when you look at that person, right? And obviously, like you mentioned, Dina, the chemicals start like bubbling, right? But the idea is it's just good to also put a little bit brain inside of it, inside of that, right? Because obviously, like we teach with our work that we are doing, we have to follow our heart, but in that particular situation we have to also involve our brain, right? Because understand that we can be attracted to a lot of people, but when it comes to true love, it's much deeper feeling, right? And like you mentioned, there is like a special connection. And then you actually connect to the person on all levels of spiritual, mental, physical, and emotional. And
Yeah.
that's exactly like the true deep love.
Can I add something, Irina?
Sure.
Because um, the chemicals, you know, the majority, I have a lot of ladies, women, and the majority of women, I do tell them, hey, look for a vibrator, buy a vibrator. That's why I sell them also, because then is where, if um, you're not sure if it's a connection, or if it's lost, then you'll be sure, because you will be releasing those chemicals during an orgasm. And then you will, if you see that person and you still want to be intimate with this person, then maybe it's a connection. If the feeling goes away, then you know it was just you needed those chemicals. As simple as that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And for
And I
a,
think,
For a male, for a masculine, I say the same. There are some good um, machines, um, for the masculine to use to get their to masturbate. If you don't want to use your hand, you can buy those machine and release. Don't be addicted to those chemicals, and you need an opposite sex.
All I know is the inflatable dolls.
No, no, there are very good sleeves for men and very good vibrators for women, and in all of the sizes that you want, small sizes and large sizes. And a vibrator not necessarily has to be in a form of a penis, and a sleeve not necessarily is in a form of a vagina. It can be very cool.
Interesting.
Yes.
Look at us. We expand our consciousness. That's
It's
exactly what we're doing.
Yeah, it's a chemical. It's Yeah. And you know going back to love, connection, that is what you want, really. So use those machines to release those chemicals and done with it, because those chemicals are needed. But what you want is those connections. You want that information, how to continue further in life. Yeah.
Yes. And you know what? I just want to add quickly, and then we'll ask Bruno what he has to add to that. But when you're talking about, like release the chemicals, for me, it's like it was always like that. I take my time to kind of explore the person, right? So because you figure, take to get to know the person. Because once you become intimate with that person, it's like already you feel some kind of dependence, and it's good just to have like your cold mind to analyze and like really see where it's going to take that connection, where it's going to take you, right? And there is no point to rush things, right? Because that's exactly what we are learning to be patient, and we are learning to stay in that mode of exploration and see what the person is all about before we actually get intimate with them. And the true love, usually true love takes time to develop as well. You can like somebody, you could be infatuated by somebody, you could have like, like chemicals running through your body, but at the same token, it takes time for that love to actually be recognized and developed into something bigger. Bruno, what do you have to say about it?
Like I was thinking, I was listening to the both of you, and I was listening and stuff, and I was retaining information, and I wanted to see what I had to say about it. And recently I did an event that you both know about because you both participated in it, the Flourishing Self-Full Love event. And I had this speaker, right? This coach. She's a matchmaking coach, right? And we were talking. We were discussing what was going to be the topic, and she came up like, "Fuck the spark." So her topic was "Fuck the spark," right? And I was like, and now I was thinking about it, and that's so true. Like people have to literally say "fuck the spark" because what's so like when we look at a diamond, sometimes we think that person is a diamond, and in reality it's just sand. There's quadrillions of sand, right? The person and just ends up being like everybody else. But when we're blind and we don't see nothing else but that person in front of us, we always see the beauty of that person because I feel like, especially in infatuation, when it comes to infatuation, people immediately grab themselves into the idea of what that person can be than what the person is now, and people are not too realistic about the conditions of one of the other, right? And so that is fine if people are growing together. But if one is not growing and the other person expects the other to grow and holds herself or himself to what that person could do instead of what the person is now, that is like a recipe for disaster, basically. And because people are not being realistic, and then when we say according to Fuck the Spark, right, when we put that on the table, right, saying Fuck the Spark is not entirely like whatever, uh, not saying fuck beauty or fuck like internal or external. or like whatever looks very exciting right now. It is like, let's take our time and let's be patient, right? Because the spark is spontaneous, but when you see the same person every single day, the spark dies. Like in a lot of people, the spark dies, right? And like if the spark dies in a day or two, imagine what it will happen in weeks, months, or years, right? So it's one of those things where I feel like that's a clear sign of infatuation is when people get too caught up on the actual spark, on the emotion of the spark, and really on the logicality of the situation itself, right? And I feel like it's something that like really is like kind of, yeah, no, it's like Irina was saying, we need to use our logical minds and analyze everything, right, and give it time and give it rest. And you don't have to be always answering your phone because you should have a life, and if you don't, you should get one. um, and like you should just live your life. And like for example, infatuation or love, right? On both. Usually this is more like dating stuff, but I feel like it also kind of relates a little bit. It's like a lot of people, they're like, oh my god, I don't know, because that person looks too much for me, or I'm too less for them, or this or that. And I'm like, bro. And sometimes I tell them, it's like, look, like if you want to have like a long-term relationship when it comes to love, like you're not just supposed to come as somebody who's clearly there to sell the idea that you are capable and that you deserve and that you are worthy of being with that person, right? And that you can feel her needs or his needs. But you're there to also you're there to go into her life or his life also as a friend, right? Also as a friend. So you're not just supposed to be somebody who the person wakes up with, goes to bed with, has dinner, lunch, and breakfast. You're also supposed to be her friend and his friend, right? And so if you're on a first date, or you want to have a long-term relationship, you want to have whatever, right? You have to show also your friend side, right? I'm not saying for you to friend zone yourself. I'm saying for you to show your kind friend side, right? And I feel like that is just so important, because like when people go into a date, the idea of it is sex, 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 or like long term, sell the idea that I'm a romantic partner, whatever. But you also have to sell the idea, and you have to show yourself that you can be her or is best friend, and then you understand the person, right? And I feel like that's very very important.
Dina, what do you think about it?
When Bruno was talking, and he's right. He's right. You need to be a friend first. And personally, Bruno, I don't think that a woman and a man can ever be friends. But you are right. You kind of have to try to be friends, understand each other in that way. So I say to everybody, it's like if you're a woman, try to place the person that you are sexually or with as your girlfriend, your BFF. Okay, because if you put that partner in those shoes, you'll treat him differently, and vice versa. So if you are a man and the woman that she's toxic, you need to put her in the shoes of your best male friend, and then you'll understand her. So I'm totally with you. I think you need to be friends before engaging in those um, chemicals, because your entire body is works with chemicals. So before you go engage to that, you need to be engaging with your logic, with the French, with the social part of us. And yeah, I do agree with you. Yeah, that's what I want to say.
Any kind of experiences that you had, personal experiences, or maybe with the clients, that they had to actually distinguish with, like maybe they think that they were in love, and then it turned out to be just infatuation, the short-lived lust
You know what? I have a personal um story.
story.
Yes.
Okay, tell us,
And
please.
I I was dating. I was dating on a dating site. I healed from a long relationship, and I felt that I wanted to date back, go on the arena with my own procedures. So I met a guy, and it was a connection, immediate connection, a very intense connection. And both person, he felt it also. So what I had to learn from that experience is I never I have I've learned in my when I was gathering information to become a sex coach, I've learned about the narcissist, those the very deep ones, the very hard ones. But I've never met one. So I went through um, when someone really wants you, he or she, if they are narcissists, they will do everything to get you, and it was like heaven. And but when things when things started appearing out of nowhere, such as jealousy, and I was like, this is I read about this, I took exams about this, I realized this connection, I had to go through it for me to learn how my clients are feeling when they tell me what they tell me, because it's bizarre. If they are, if you have a narcissist partner, it's bizarre. You think sometimes that you're crazy, and I felt it. I felt it. So it was nice. I'm very grateful. I'm very grateful for this person, and if he's watching, if he was here, I would tell him, "Yeah, I'm very grateful, but I love you, but I cannot live with you." That was my experience.
Well, Dina, can you share more? Like, what exactly, like, what? Because like jealousy, it's pretty much like common factor. So it's not about just like being narcissistic. Like, tell what other traits did you
Okay,
see in him,
okay.
and like how he really triggered you, right? Because it's great to know.
He okay. Well, I'm going to, yeah. Okay, you're right, because not everybody in the audience maybe know what is a narcissist. Well, so those characteristics that he had was, he I was mine. If I was sexy, um, with a burqa. So you know what a burqa is? It's a dress fully one color, and only you see the eyes. I would have been sexy with a burqa on. I work with the sexy energy. So
Hmm.
every time he saw me, he was like, "You're too sexy," but I wasn't showing skin. That's number one.
Right, right. It's energy. That's
Yes,
what we
that's
are
number
talking
one.
about.
Okay, he wanted me to be closed doors. He was taking me away from my family. None of my family. He wanted me to stay in closed doors. I was only for him. With my clients, my in Aruba, we are very warm. We greet each other with
With
hugs.
kisses, with hugs, it's normal.
Uh-huh. That's
Yes.
how you got to know me. So I had a couple that I helped them out. The gentleman came and he paid me, and he was there. So the gentleman, he greeted me, he gave me a hug, and when he left, he was mad, angry. How can the gentleman hug me? So I'm in my 50s. I and I had to go through that. So I was gaslighted also. So everything happened in 6 months. So, to mention some of the characteristics, that it was not peaceful all the time. It was like heaven. If things were good, if I had my gloves on, treated him the way that he wanted, it was like heaven, but I wasn't myself. I couldn't be
Mhm.
myself. You understand?
Yes.
Yes. And
Mhm.
what I had to do, what I learned, it was infatuation. I needed to, it was a connection for me to learn something. And I didn't have to take it that far. I shouldn't have started a relationship. I learned that. Yeah.
You know what comes to me? Thanks so much, first of all, for sharing this interesting story. And you know what comes for me is it was more like you didn't feel yourself, right? Although you were physically attracted and you did experience good time together, but at the same time, you haven't felt yourself.
Yes. He
And
I
that's
couldn't
the
be.
most important thing. When we are with the partner, we want to make sure that whatever we say, whatever we do, we are totally, ourselves. We feel comfortable. We are not afraid to speak up. We are not afraid to act the way we are, right? Because our partners receive us and accept us for who we are.
Yes. Love bombing. That's the word that I was looking. That's what they use. Love bombing. So
Bruno, what do you think about it?
Well, I have a
About
story
the
as well.
about the story?
I have a story as well. I have a lot of stories, but I feel like this one applies like more into like this situation. So when I was in university, right? Um, so I had like a job myself because I went to live by myself because I wanted to experience what was like to living by yourself, and so I knew that I had to get a job because I wasn't under my mom's roof anymore, right? And so I worked in a fast food restaurant, day and nights, days and nights, right? And there was one night where after I finished, that girl, she used to work there at like, she used to get in at like 7, 8 a.m., right? And she was my age, right? She was literally my age. At that time, I was like 19, 20. She was 19, 20 as well. I think she's like either the same year as me or 1 year younger. And we're twin flames, actually. So it's crazy. It's crazy how, how we kind of attracted us together, right? And, but And then we had a lot in common. She likes numerology. She has a shit ton of crystals at home. She looks like she's doing rituals. Like, she has a lot of stuff, right? But I knew the situation that I was in because I was finishing university, right? And she lived there with her family in the same place, and she still lives in the same place, right? After 2, 3 years, and I wasn't gonna be there, right? And so I knew exactly what was going to happen if I got into something, right? I knew exactly what was going to happen if I come into something there in that moment, right? Which would be, oh, we're gonna be at this, and blah 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 blah. Oh, well, we're gonna see each other this, see each other then, and then. It's not gonna work. Period. Simple as that. It's not gonna work because she's young like me. She she basically wants to live her own life, do her own thing. She has a whole life to live and go through. She wants to have fun, and she doesn't want to suffer because of meaningless relationships, right? Um, and so when we're young, we shouldn't even trap ourselves to long-term relationships. We should just go and live your life. Um, Now, I thought about that, but in the beginning, I didn't have that perspective. I just wanted to destroy your brains out, and I say that because it's true, because that's exactly how I felt. But I caught myself in a moment where I was like, wait a second, like I didn't even remember her for like 3 days. And then I go and I check on my and I was like, fuck, I have like 5 messages of her. And so she remembered about messaging me, but I didn't remember about messaging her. And I was like, well, if this is the way it is now, I can even imagine how it will be in months or years, right? And so I just said, look, like it has been like 2 weeks, you know. But the thing is that like I wasn't really like excited about talking with her. I was excited of talking with her for like a week or two, but I wasn't excited to talk with her anymore. right? And that was a thing that was like a thing that really like showed me that I don't I don't like her. I was probably in need of her. I was probably in need of her energy. I was probably in need of what she could give me at that time, right? And now that I have it, I don't need it anymore, right? And so that happened. The same thing was supposed to happen with like 20 or 30 more girls in that year. Um, but it didn't because I always remembered about that time, about what happened with that girl, right? And but now it was the other way around. Now it wasn't me who needed their energy; it was them who needed my energy. And I know that I'm not that different from people. I'm humble like that, and I don't mind saying it. That they will do the same thing to me. After 2, 3, 4 a month, 2, 3 months, they'd be like, "I already got what I wanted, and I don't need this anymore." And it's exactly what would happen. And it was a little bit selfish of me to do what I did to that girl, and I actually told her that. I told her like, look, I'm sorry about this and that. I meant to go get this. I meant to go leave that. But I was honestly more into feeling that feeling than really living something like that. You know, that momentaneum feeling actually fed me a whole lifetime, kind of, right? And that's what is like. That's what infatuation really is. It's all momentaneum. It's all very present. It's and it fulfills you or it satisfies you so much that it's like you kind of just now you want it, but now you want it from somebody else, right? And sometimes you see that a lot in men because men are possessive, right? Men like to have, men like they say they like they tell the story, they like to be the center of attention and have women look at them and respect them because other men look at them and respect them as well, right? Like men like that shit, and so it's really kind of that way, and I kind of like never really got myself into nothing super serious until I I really know if I really want to be with this person or not, if we are in the same road. I for instance, I could never really be with I for instance I could never really be with like anybody else like that is not on the same path as me. I could never do that because I want to do something that has to do with like the same people, right? Like I wanna I'm a coach. I'd like to be with a coach, right? Which is because we're in the same world, we know the same people, all that, right? And so it just ends up being one of those things where if our worlds are too apart, it can't really happen, right? And so yeah, it's kind of
Thanks for sharing. I don't even remember. I'm just like trying to figure out what would be my story, because I can say like I used to fall in love easily when I was in my younger years, right? But then again, I was always, like I never went into the physical until I really kind of, like I always had this, like I have to know the person well before doing anything. But there were like a couple of things that when like I really, really felt really, like deep about people. And but people were not ready, right, for these connections. And but to say like I always knew what true love is, it's like, it's something that wisdom that you can come in this lifetime if you're an old soul, right? So it's like nothing is taken on the surface, it's more like on a deeper level. But I always kind of knew, like I knew that I have this personality that I can like somebody, like I can flirt with somebody. But at the same token, I knew what I wanted, and I knew what I was searching for. So for me, it was like always that distinguishment. And that's why, like, I knew exactly what the true love is. Not necessarily saying that I always end up having it, but it was also like going through the lessons and becoming wiser and smarter through that process. But what comes to me is like, always take our time, right? Don't jump into any relationship right away. Take your time, and if you like the person, that person is not gonna go away in a week or a month, right? If this is like a true connection, right? Because a lot of times people just follow the feelings, especially when there was no relationship for a long time. I think this is something that a lot of people tend to fall into when there was no real relationship for a long time. That when they meet somebody, they think that that's it, this is my person. And like they jump into the like physical connection. And after some time, because obviously it takes time to really figure out who the person is, because you want to be compatible with that person, you want to know the interest, because physical is not the glue that's going to hold people in the relationship, right? And people have to have more to themselves, like to have that deeper connection, to have the similar interests, to like to do same things, to understand each other, to be willing to learn about each other, to be active listeners, to hold the space for each other, right? To be compassionate to each other. So there are a lot of different things. And I don't know, is this my camera frozen? But what I wanted to say, it's like it's the process, and the more we are in this process, the more we understand about each other. And obviously, support each other, reflect on your feelings, take your time, look for mutual respect and support, and also trust your instincts, right? It's important to trust the instincts.
Absolutely.
Okay. Okay. Can you hear me? Because for some reason I don't see anything, but I can hear you guys.
I
Yeah.
you're frozen.
I'm
Frozen.
frozen. All right.
But
So
oh, okay. All right.
Okay.
She'll come.
She's
She'll come back.
gone.
She'll come. She'll come back. So yeah. So when it comes to infatuation, yeah, yeah, you were gonna say something, you know?
I was going to say something. I was going to say my goodbyes because my client just arrived.
Okay.
And the internet of Irina just went away.
Yeah. Apparently.
But
Oh,
this was a very good topic. You're back, Irina.
yes, finally I'm back.
So I was just telling Bruno that I had half an hour to sit with you guys. This is what this was half an hour, wasn't it?
No,
yes.
that's an hour.
It's an hour. Oh, I
Oh,
didn't
Yes.
know that.
it's
I have
30
a
minutes.
client that's waiting for me. I. Okay.
Okay. We're gonna wrap it up. Yes. Let's talk about, like I was mentioning, about the the advice what we can give the listeners, and which ones I follow all the time. So I was listing all these different things, and I don't know if you heard me, because I know I was frozen, but I don't know if you can hear me. No, you didn't?
Um.
No, no, we heard. Yeah, we heard. More or less.
Yeah. You just went for a couple of seconds.
Yeah.
All right. So, anything else somebody wants to add in terms of that topic, and what do we have to be mindful of?
If
Uh, no, yeah, go on, Dina, go on.
I do think self love is the most important in this case, because if you can't love yourself, how can you know when love present in front of you? How do you know that that is love? Okay, if you don't know how to love yourself, you will never um, see that love is right in front of you. Everything is infatuation. You can get addicted to everything in front of you. Just need to choose it. So that's my tip. You need to learn how to love yourself, and what what I use to love myself is not the same thing that Bruno, for example, uses to love himself, or Irina loves. You need to get to know who you are for you to know what works and what doesn't. That's for me. That's the only tip for me that I want to provide.
Awesome. Bruno, how about you to wrap it up?
Yeah, I'm just going to add on what Dina said. It's important also that you love yourself because the person that you're talking to probably is a reflection of yourself in some ways, and that's why you relate to her, right? And so there's a difference between compassion and sympathy, right? And so when you have sympathy, you find the person nice, but you don't relate to the person. When you have compassion for the person, you find the person good or nice don't matter. The point is that you relate to the person, and they're able to either use your story or use other people's stories to show an example of how that you understand and you acknowledge the person's feelings and stuff, right? So you have to be compassionate for yourself, and if you cannot be compassionate for yourself, then people will not be compassionate for you. Neither people see you through you because you can see yourself through yourself, right? So that's all very important. Self love is the foundation because of many other things. You can just right. It's like usually people see things for what they are, but maybe those things are way, way, way much more. That's just the tip of the iceberg, right? So yeah, right. Like go for love.
So, absolutely. So just keep exploring yourself so you understand what it means for you, love versus infatuation, and you know, continue learning these beautiful lessons and become more wiser and experience the best from love. Dina, thanks so much for joining, and we'll see each other very soon. Bye.